Alright, moving right along to story number 2. If the last story was about domination in the sense of controlling our history, then this story is about domination in the actual physical sense. Okay, the last story was domination through manipulative means. This story, we're just going to talk about how we are now being dominated by a new synthetic aristocracy. Okay, last week in the Rolling Stone, if you remember, I played for you the video about the woman who was asked by the Black Lives Matter representative to actually kneel down and apologize for her whiteness. You remember that, right? Well, this week, I didn't think that I was going to be able to top that. But the world is so insane now that it obliged. And now we have white people now being ordered to kiss the feet of black people to atone for their skin color and their privilege and their racism. Here it is.
Now, okay, go ahead. Step on up, brother. Go ahead, Lori. There you go. Now that's a kiss it. You gotta kiss it. There you go. Now who's the next brother? Step on up. This is how you do this. Hold on, Lori. Hold on. Because we the real true priests and prophets of the Lord over here. Okay, Lori, go ahead. All right, well go ahead.
I gotta move up.
Okay, there you go. Move up.
I don't want my butt.
We don't want it sore either. Go ahead, General Q. Go ahead. Come on up, you next. Come on, brother. This here is the work of the Lord. All you white people that's watching this is your future. Come yashalom. Come yashalom. Come yashalom. This is your future. You are going into captivity. You are going into slavery for what your forefathers did. Not just because we said it, because it's in the Bible. This is what God said, man. This is your future. For all the rape, the robbery, the murder that you've done to us. And you think we ain't supposed to say nothing. Hold this. I'm going down. All right, here you go, Lori. One more. Come on, Lori. There you go. That's America's future right there for you.
So, did you ever think when, 10 years ago, that you would actually live to see the day where one group of Americans told another American to actually physically kiss their feet to atone for her skin color? Did you ever think that you'd live to see the day here in America where that happened? That happened other places. Here in America, no. First of all, that would never happen here. Second of all, even if someone tried to do that, no one would actually go along with it. And then third, if anyone actually forced someone to actually do that, if they were holding guns to people's heads, then other good people would rise up and beat those wannabe tyrants into a bloody pulp. Which is what should happen, regardless of your skin color. Anyone who says today that someone needs to kneel down and kiss the feet of someone else or some other group to atone for something that they didn't even do. That's the key point here, gang. If anyone says that you're racist, that you are privileged, that you are leading a charmed life, if anyone says any of those variations simply because of the fact that you are Caucasian, that you come from European ancestry, or if you don't come from European ancestry, if you're Asian or you're black or you're Hispanic, but you don't think in lockstep with their ideology, which makes you an enemy just as much as anyone else. If anyone tells you that you need to apologize, you need to wash feet, kiss feet, get on your knees and apologize for an accident of your birth, if anyone tells you that you're a traitor or, that you are only racially something and not politically that thing. You're only racially black, you're not politically black because you don't think in lockstep with the ideology and how you are supposed to think now. Spit in their eye. Seriously and honest to God, just spit in their eye, because that is the sort of response that deserves. Okay? If you want to try and tear apart at their logic, fine. Gesundheit. Go ahead and do it. Go for it. If they refuse to listen, if they refuse to even have an argument, just spit in their eye. And then just say that you're not even worth my time, and that you and your ideology are now my implacable enemy. Because there can't be any compromise between people like that who make demands like that and people who basically just want to flourish in a society that promotes order, justice, peace, and ordered liberty. There can be no compromise with that. But that is what we are seeing. More and more and more, we are seeing this domination. We are seeing this domination. Let me just give you some examples. Wendy Mesley. This isn't in America. This was actually in Canada. Wendy Mesley, who used to be on the Canadian Broadcast Association. She was suspended from the CBA when she was in a private production meeting. They were talking about what shows were going to be done for the coming week, and they were thinking about interviewing some journalist, I believe he was, and Wendy Mesley actually read verbatim a quote from the journalist in question, the one that they were thinking about interviewing, and in that quote was a problematic word. I haven't been able to find out what that word was, but because she read the quote with the problematic word verbatim, she was suspended from her job. Just boom, just like that. Drew Brees, the NFL player, he said that NFL players should not be kneeling down during the Pledge of Allegiance, during games. If you want to protest, he said, do it on your own time. Because of that, he has been ruthlessly attacked. He has now apologized 4 times. His wife even apologized now. His wife didn't even do anything. And yet she apologized, I think, hoping that, well, maybe if we both apologize, maybe now they'll leave us alone. Here's a hint. The mob will never leave you alone. No matter what you do, you will never, ever, ever escape. You will never be forgiven. This is a reason why, to go back to our earlier story with statues, this is why statues are being torn down. This is also why Gone with the Wind, the 1939, I believe, movie with Clark Gable, Vivian Leigh, one of the greatest movies ever made by a wide consensus, HBO Max actually took it off of its streaming service. Okay, HBO Max, I guess, somehow, someway, has the distributing rights to it. It was on their streaming service. They've taken it down. Now, they're saying, at this point, that they will be bringing it back, but in the context, they're going to have a scholar actually lecture us before you can start the movie, and basically in order to tell us how bad it is, how evil it is, and basically if you're watching it basically for any other reason than to condemn the antebellum South, condemn the South in general, and condemn 1939 America for making such a horrible piece of cinema. Oh, and also condemn Margaret Mitchell, the woman who actually wrote the best-selling novel in 1936, then basically you are a horrible person, and this is just another part of your privilege coming to the fore. Okay? Coincidentally, little diversion here, 73% of Black Americans say that Gone with the Wind is either good or very good. So there you have it again. Almost 3/4 of Black Americans say that they actually like Gone with the Wind. And since, it's good, very good, okay, bad, very bad. Probably only a very small percentage of Black Americans think that Gone with the Wind is very, very bad. So, infinitesimal segment of people actually dislike Gone with the Wind, or actually saying that Gone with the Wind has to be destroyed or has to be taken down so it can be repackaged in a much more woke environment. It has to be fed to us in a much more woke way. No one is saying that. And yet HBO took it down. Actually, interestingly, it's not just Gone with the Wind. In the New York Times, it was argued that Paw Patrol, you know what Paw Patrol is? It's a CGI animated kids show, something that I have never seen. I've seen plenty of toys for it and plenty of advertisements for it, but I've never seen the show, thank goodness. And it's about a group of pretty much talking dogs who do rescue work. I think one's a fireman and one is a policeman. The German Shepherd is a policeman, and because one of the characters is a policeman, one of the dog characters is a policeman, that is the reason why the argument is now Paw Patrol needs to be rescinded. It just needs to be canceled. It needs to be taken off of all streaming services. No more DVDs. I would not be surprised if they had a buyback program for Paw Patrol and Gone with the Wind. I wouldn't be surprised if, a little government agent, or actually it wouldn't even be a government agent, a little BLM agent, started knocking at your door and pretty much saying, "We hear you are hiding copies of Gone with the Wind." I gave him a German accent for a very specific reason, gang. Would we be surprised at that? I mean, I wouldn't. I mean, anything else. If you had said 5 years ago that the University of Liverpool was going to rename one of its halls, because William Gladstone now is not allowed into polite society, not because of anything he did, but because of what his dad did, I would have said that you were crazy, So anything is possible now. All of these things, it's about domination, gang. That is simply what it is about. Domination, pure and simple. I said at the beginning of this video, you might have caught it, that this is about a new synthetic aristocracy. Synthetic in the sense that it is artificial. It is based purely, like the old aristocracies of the old monarchies of Europe, on who your family is. It is based on secondary qualities. Okay? In the old days in Europe, it used to be, who your father was, who your family was, what was your how much land did you own, how much money did you have, basically things like that. Here, it's based solely on your color and how you think. If you are the right color, and if you think in the right way, then you are part of this new synthetic aristocracy, okay, which is opposed to the natural aristocracy that the founders like John Adams talked about, where the natural aristocracy was simply the realization that, hey, everyone has gifts, everyone has talents, and some people are naturally more talented in other areas than others. Some people are smarter than others, some people are stronger than others, some people are luckier than others, some people are better at business than others, so some people are richer than others, etc., etc., etc. That is meritocracy, because you can actually improve your talents in the natural aristocracy. If you have talents, if you have ambition, you can find something and you can work to improve yourself. With a synthetic aristocracy, you can't get in, you can't advance, because just the accident of basic, now of course, your skin. Like in the old monarchies, you couldn't be noble because your dad was a cobbler and his dad was a duke, so no, you couldn't be noble. Today, you can't be noble, you can't be part of the nobility if you are descended from Europeans, or if you don't think the right way. That is what's happening. And the reason why all of these examples of domination continue to happen every day, we hear stories about another statue being destroyed, another statue being defaced, another demand. I mean, here was just another one, actually. There is now a petition that Disneyland change its its super slide, its watery slide, or water adventure, or I forget the name of it right now, but they changed the entire theme of that ride because the theme is taken from Song of the South, which of course takes place in the South immediately after the Civil War. Song of the South is the movie that Disney desperately wishes it never made, because they have not put it on DVD for years. They're not putting it on Disney Plus to stream. It's never going to leave the vault. And yet the mere fact that a ride is based on the movie, okay? I don't even think that Uncle Remus is in the ride. It's Brer Rabbit, Brer Bear, and Brer Wolf. I think that's it. I don't think that you see Uncle Remus at all in it. But simply because it is connected to that movie, it needs to be completely revamped. The reason why every day brings us new examples of the synthetic aristocracy making more demands, demanding more and more and more, domineering more and more and more and more, is because they're getting away with it. It was Vladimir Lenin. He had a great quote, which I will have to paraphrase here, but Lenin said that when you are advancing with your bayonet, right, and you only meet mush, keep going. It's only when you actually meet steel on the other side that you should, retreat. That's the only chance. Only when you meet steel should you retreat. As long as you meet no resistance, keep going. And there hasn't been any resistance. Gang, there has not been any existence. I'm sure that you saw that 6 square blocks of the city of Seattle has been taken over by Antifa. And it has now been declared its own autonomous zone, basically its own country, the nation of Chaz, C-H-A-Z, being ruled by an honest-to-God warlord, Ray Simon, who was at one time actually just a rapper. And now you might be asking, how did he get to be the warlord? Who elected him? Nobody. He and his guys had guns. And so they're able right now to actually dominate everyone else. The mayor of Seattle says, oh, this is perfectly fine. They're just protesting and has the aurora of a block party. Yeah. Don't you remember block parties when you were in college, when you went and you forced an entire police precinct to actually abandon the building? Oh, God, those were the days of college, weren't they? The governor of Washington at first said, I don't know anything about this, even though Nation of Chaz and Warlord had been trending on Twitter for more than 24 hours. Governor Inslee of Washington State, at first he tried to deny all knowledge of it. I don't know about this, I don't know about this. And then he said, well, nothing is going on. It's all fine, it's mostly peaceful. People just want to exercise their First Amendment rights to protest, etc., etc. They formed barricades around this 6-block perimeter. And they have signs on them saying, when you enter in, leaving the USA. That's not a protest anymore. That is full-blown insurrection, secession. Hello? We're complaining that Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee, P.G.E. Beauregard, and all the rest of them, they have to be erased from public memory and from the public square because they were traitors who fought against the U.S.? Hello? What's happening right over here now in Seattle? How is this different? Answer, it's not. Except that the left loves these guys because this is what they want. This is either what they want, or now they've been so brainwashed with their own ideology that they think that this is what they want. And that's just one example of the lawful authorities not actually taking any action against these people. We have the force. We are the only, still right now, for the time being, we are the only hyperpower in the world. And we're saying that we cannot save 6 square blocks of one of our most prominent Western cities from, a bunch of thugs? Really? Are we saying now that we are no better than Mexico, where the cartels run everything? And where the cartels are so brazen now that they actually have commercials and brands and try to get people onto their side through commercial means? Is that really what we're saying? Yes, that is what we're saying right now, because that's what our leaders have said. Our leaders are gutless wonders, and they are giving no resistance to any of this. And so, this domination is going to continue until, gang, there is an equal and violent reaction against it. I don't know, and it's inevitable. It will happen. That's just the third law of motion, which probably means that I'm allowing my white privilege to show itself again, because third law of motion, discovered by Isaac Newton, white scientist, so white science, objectivity, and everything, those are bad, terrible, racist, privileged. So I'm sorry, mea culpa, for allowing my white privilege to show itself again. But regardless of that, there is going to be an equal and opposite and natural reaction to all of this. It happens in nature, and it happens in human life too, in our private lives and in social life as well. So I don't know when it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to be. And it's probably not going to be the whole population, gang. It'll probably like Black Lives Matter and Antifa, where it's just a sliver of the population, which just has a lot of influence and a lot of people like what they're doing. This is going to be the same way, this natural and opposite reaction, because it can't be anything else. Think about it like this. There are now stories out there in the news cycle warning us that a second wave of coronavirus is just upon us. Cases have spiked and everything. Well, for the last 2 weeks, we didn't hear diddly squat about any of that. In fact, there were health experts, 1,200 of them in fact, saying that it was perfectly all right for people to get in mobs and riot, to loot, pillage, and plunder. You didn't have to observe social distancing, i.e. avoidance for that, because, just systematic racism, white privilege, those are so much more dangerous than the virus. So all of these people can ignore the health regulations that have been put in place to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Meanwhile, people are still being ticketed for not properly socially distancing, even when they're just with their families and when they're out in public places like parks. That's still happening. On that note, the police departments of some cities, there are some exceptions like Miami and New York, but a lot of police departments, like in Seattle with the Nation of Chaz, they are being told to stand down. They're not being told to go in and actually do their jobs, to fulfill the duties that the state is supposed to do, i.e. keep order, justice, and peace. In fact, according to Andy Go, the independent journalist who used to work at Quillette, inside the Nation of Chaz, what was it? It was calls for sexual assaults, robberies, have tripled since they drove the police out and declared their autonomous zone. But because there are no police in the area, remember, they made everyone in the 3rd Precinct Police Station pull up stakes and leave. It takes the police now twice as long to actually respond to those calls. That is all happening, and our leaders are perfectly fine with it. The mayor of Seattle, Jenny Dinkins, she's fine with this. Governor Inslee of Washington State, he's perfectly fine with this. His lordship, the mayor of New York City, Bill de Blasio, he's perfectly fine with the things that the rioters and the looters are doing. So, not only can you disregard the health rules and regulations that have been put in place, we are told specifically for the purpose of keeping people alive during this global pandemic, which is still going on. Not only can you do that, but you can burn, you can loot to your heart's content. If that happens, it's fine. The district attorneys and the attorney generals of the states won't prosecute you. Your bail will be paid for by either Hollywood elitists like Steve Carell and Natalie Portman, or by members of Joe Biden's presidential campaign. Yeah, that is actually happening. So you can actually disobey the law all you want. You will not suffer any consequences. But if you jaywalk, if you still speed, if you're still going 15, 20 miles over the speed limit, you can be damn sure that you are going to be stopped. And more than likely, you're going to get a ticket. People are not going to put up with this blatant inequality for long. Well, I shouldn't say that. Because, like I said again, I do not know when this opposite reaction is going to take place. Don't know when it's going to take place, where it's going to start, or how it's going to look. But I do know that there is going to come a time when a segment of the population, however small it is going to be fed up. And they are going to start thinking, if these people can break the law with impunity, why should I obey the law? Why should I follow the rules when they don't have to? And that is when the rubber is really going to hit the road. That's when you really better buckle down, and if you're a religious person, you better say your prayers, because that's when it's going to get really interesting. And who knows, it might have to get to that point, gang, at this, from where we are now, we might have to just go all the way, just put in all of our chips into this play, as it were, and just ride it out to the other side. I don't know, but it's looking like that right now. Anyway, that is story number 2.